Hello, everybody. All right, so hopefully everybody had a good weekend this weekend. Hopefully y'all kind of had a long, a long weekend edition last night. Talked a little bit about, of course, the little drama going on between Matt Walsh of the Daily Wire and Jeremy Hamley, better known to everybody as the Quartering. Giving our own analysis as to what was going on, of course. Um, anyways, with that, tonight we're of course it's beginning of the weekend, so we're back to Meech news and stuff like that. And while we wait for more people, of course, I'm going to turn on some music, take care of a couple of things real quick while we wait for people to come in. As always, of course, if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can we can get some more friendly people in here. That'd be great. Um, With that, I'm going to turn on some music right now. I take care of a couple of things. I'll be right back, and I'll go over what the contact for. Anyways, I'll be right back. All right, so let me just hear one last little thing here before we. Um, all right, there we go. All righty then. So let's see, we're at about 3.5 minutes here. So let me go over what, of course, we're going to talk about tonight. Of course, we're going to go over a couple articles from Bounding into Comics. First off, one will be we'll be talking a little bit about Voyager Comics' newest series, Metal Knight, which was inspired by Saint Maximilian Kolbe with artwork by Sergio Cariello. We're talking about that, and also we will be talking about. Let's see, what was the other one we are going to talk about? Oh yeah, in the world of censoring manga, this media makes corrections to latest Jujutsu Kaisen chapter after fans discover original localization ruined a hype moment. So those we're gonna go over those two articles tonight. Of course, we have, of course, a wrestling wrap up and this day in each history as well. Some, of course, with the wrestling wrap up, that's some of the news coming out of WWE and AEW. Interesting stuff happened over the weekend. And so, of course there was backlash this weekend. That's one of the big things that came out. So we'll talk a little bit about that. What happened there? Some surprise appearances. Some other things going on. Let's see. So we're now past 5 minute mark. So I guess I'll get started then and get going with the articles, and hopefully more people join us soon here. And as always, guys, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here to join us and engage and all that. Also, if anything, of course, as always, if anything grabs your attention, anything we talk about grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. And if I can, I'll do the best I can to answer those questions. With that, why don't we go ahead and get started? Oh, here we go. All right, so here we go with our first article of the evening. Let's see. And the robot. All right, so Voyage Comics introduces new series in smaller quotes Metal Knight, inspired by Saint Maximilian Kolbe, with artwork by Sergio Cariello. Article by John F. Trent, published last Thursday. So here we go. Voyage Comics recently announced the first issue of their brand new series, Metal Knight, that features artwork by Action Bible creator Sergio Cariello and is inspired by Saint Maximilian Kolbe. Now, granted, I don't know who Saint Maximilian Kolbe is, but it tells me as we get into this article, we will find out. Metal Knight follows an 18-year-old named Max who is making a number of incredible scientific breakthroughs in the field of robotics while attending an advanced technical school. Some sci-fi action here, some story that sounds like about a scientific prodigy here, it would appear, who specializes in robotics. All right. And again, if you guys can like and share the screen, see if we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything we talk about here or we go over here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Anyways, however, Max quickly discovers that the breakthroughs and inventions he came up with that he intended to be used to truly help people are now being used for nefarious purposes. Isn't that always the case? Smart guys come up with all this stuff, and then the regular people have come up with corrupt ways of using it. That's just brilliant. Max will be faced with a number of tough decisions, including whether or not he will sit by and continue to let his creations be used for illegal activities, or if he will take action and stay true to his beliefs. Sounds like an interesting story right there. As revealed by writer Philip Kozlowski, the creator of Max, the character of Max is inspired by Polish priest and martyr Saint Maximilian Kolbe. For those unfamiliar with Saint Maximilian Kolbe, Kozlowski explains, quote, Saint Maximilian Kolbe is most well known for his example of self-sacrifice at the concentration camps at Auschwitz, where he stepped in the place of a man condemned to die and convinced the Nazi soldiers to kill him instead of another prisoner who had a family. Wow. However, you might be wondering, what does the life of a man who sacrificed himself at Auschwitz have to do with a young man making a number of scientific breakthroughs? Yeah, a lot of people would kind of wonder that. Kozlowski explains, quote, his example of Christian charity has always been an inspiration to me. But what surprised me when I started to dig deeper into his life was his fascination with technology and space travel. Unquote. Yeah, that would be very interesting because a lot you don't hear of a lot of Christians being, you know, like too interested in space travel. You know, I would think that some of it's just probably because of the fact, they don't see really the point because if God created everything, like you're on planet Earth, you've seen one planet, you've seen them all. I guess is what their attitude could be, but the anyways, um, let's see. All right. Quote: One of his classmates in seminary later explained how he was enamored with the Wright brothers and the aerodynamics of flying. Unquote. Kozlowski continued, quote, he was often seen by his fellow seminarians um, sketching drawings of spacecraft in his spare time, filling the margins of his theology notebooks. Unquote. Interesting. I guess the idea of the comparison here being that you know Max intended for his invention. First off, Max having a fascination with robotics, obviously, but also just the fact that he wanted to have his inventions used for the good of mankind. Which again, Saint Maximilian Kolbe probably had the same viewpoint there. Kozlowski goes on to detail that Kolbe's doodles were not just doodles, but were, quote, back up by scientific speculations. He went so far as to submit his idea for a spacecraft to a scientific journal in 1918, which was, of course, what was that, 51 years before. That was 51 years before, of course, the landing on the moon. That was, I think, 39 years before, Russia sent off a rocket into space, the cosmonauts, the Sputnik. So, and of course, that was what, about almost 30 years before, I think it was by the late 40s, they were already starting to talk, even though you saw some of it in comics as well, but, um, basically by the late 40s, they were really amping up the talk of like sci-fi and space travel, all that. He was only 24 years old at the time, so 24 in 1918, that meant he was born in 1894. And depending upon when he actually sacrificed himself, he would have been probably somewhere in his late 40s, early 50s when he sacrificed himself. But had a creative mind matched with a remarkable intellect. After reviewing his proposal, one of his professors even suggested that he should file a patent for a spaceship. Unquote. He even notes, quote, when looking at his original drawings is how he anticipated the Apollo spacecraft in the design of his spacecraft, decades before any rocket was launched into space. Unquote. Again, like 39 years before Sputnik and 51 before Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin all landed on the moon. Let's see if anybody's saying anything yet. If you guys haven't already, if you guys can, of course, like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here. Also, if you can, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to to comment and or ask questions, and we will do our and I'll do my best to answer those questions to the best of my ability. So with that, Kozlowski would also possibly hint at what might be in store for readers of the Metal Knight by explaining Kolbe's interest in technology was superseded by, quote, his desire to win souls for Christ. He sought to evangelize the world, recruiting his own, in smaller quotes, soldiers to form a, in smaller quotes, militia. Quote, St. Maximilian's, in smaller quotes, militia was called the Militia Immaculate, in parentheses, Knights of the Immaculate. And their weapon of choice was the miraculous metal, unquote, Kozlowski explained. He elaborated, quote, for the rest of his life, Kolbe would carry a pocket full of these metals, which he would call his, in smaller quotes, silver bullets, which does have some, some grounding not only in Christian lore but Eastern European lore, because as everybody knows, a silver bullet is what's needed to basically kill a werewolf. After meeting someone and exhorting them to live as a faithful Christian, he would hand them a miraculous medal and let the Blessed Mother take care of the rest. Throughout his life, many souls were brought back to Christ through the handling out of these, in smaller quotes, bullets. So he was a predecessor to guys like Billy Graham and Billy Graham's the only one I can think of. Robert Schuller, Greg Laurie, Chuck Smith. So the miraculous medal has clearly been incorporated into the character of Max, as he can be seen holding one on the cover, whether or not he forms his own militia to fight back against those trying to use his inventions for naught, we'll have to find out in the story. So that must be St. Maximilian and Colby right there, I guess. Or I guess here they list him as Father Maximilian Colby. Let's see. Hey, JR. Do you know how Rick's trip to Saskatoon went? JR, I did see him post something on Facebook earlier. I think last I knew he was actually at an airport in Edmonton waiting to catch the connecting flight back to Ontario, where, basically where he's from. So he's probably, as we are speaking now, he's likely on, he's probably likely en route back home. He's probably on the plane back home. So, so that's something to, of course, look forward to. You can help me out by liking and sharing the stream. That would really be appreciated. See if we can get some more friendly people in here. Also, feel free to comment and ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Anyways, especially if it's on anything here we're talking about. Metal Knight #1 is available to pre-order now through Voyage Comics website. It retails for $5.99. It is expected to ship this month. Metal Knight joins Finian and the Seven Mountains, Champion of the Poor, Father Joe Walajewski, The Mission of Joan of Arc, Jonah's Voyage to Atlantis, The Tale of Patrick Peyton, Digital Disciple, Carlo Acutis, and the Eucharist, and the Phantom Phoenix that are available from Voyage. My guess is Voyage Comics. It sounds like it's a Christian-based comic company, probably a Catholic-based comic book company is what I'm guessing. Sounds like some stuff that could be very interesting to check out. Anyways, let's see. The publisher also has a number of books available, including Bravewater, the Book of Saints and Heroes, The Last Monks of Skellig Michael, the mysterious real-life history behind Luke Skywalker's island, and Tolkien and Faith, Essays on Christian Truth in Middle-earth. Yeah, so this company sounds kind of like a Christian-based comic book company, probably with a lot of Catholic influence. Oh, yeah, I do remember. I remember reading about that article too about Digital Disciple, Carlo Acutis, and Eucharist. Yes, I remember that what the story was that kid was he got sainthood because even though his life was cut short by disease, he still managed to be basically a disciple utilizing the internet to help bring people to Christ. So that was So, anyways, there's that story. There's that story. Let's see, we're at 22 minutes already. That's good. Let's see now. All right, so here's the next one we're going to talk about here. This will be the last article we do tonight here. Viz Media makes corrections to latest Jujutsu Kaisen chapter after fans discover original localization ruined a hype moment. Now, localization just simply means, the translation of a manga or anime property, which a lot of Western localizers do unfortunately take a lot of liberties with, including putting their own social, moral standpoint or viewpoints in their translations. Anyway, the article by Nerdigans published May 4th, which was last Thursday, in the censorship manga section here. Okay, so though many a fan were ecstatic to see Satoru Gojo make his long-awaited return in the latest chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen, their excitement quickly gave way to cursed energy after discovering that Viz Media's English language localization had ruined one of the series' most exciting moments. I wonder how they did that, I wonder. Wonder, ooh, who wrote the book of love? Anyways. All right, so the edit in question came in the series' 221st chapter, Gain and Loss, in smaller quotes there, which released on April 23rd. Having been finally set free from Kenjaku's prison realm after being sealed within For roughly 19 days, or almost 3 weeks, Gojo immediately sets out to confront the world's most evil jujutsu sorcerer, Kenjaku, um, who at current is possessing the body of Gojo's late best friend, Suguru Geto. Eventually, Gojo finds himself on the verge of striking, uh, in small quotes, pseudo Geto, only to be interrupted by a Sukuna possessed Megumi Fushiguro, who decides to suddenly make good on his previous vow to kill the silver haired hero. But before he can follow through, Kenjaku interjects and stops him, reminding him that he must fulfill the terms of their own as of yet unknown binding vow, though it appears to have something to do with Sukuna helping the villain achieve even further levels of power before killing Gojo. Honoring the agreement, the King of Curses stands down. Instead, Gojo proposes that the three of them pick things back up on Christmas Eve. Oh, isn't that nice? So, yeah, let's have a curse battle on Christmas Eve. Okay, the night before Christ's birth. Yeah, wow, that's a nice way of putting it, isn't it? That's a nice thing to do, isn't it? Hmm. Amused by what he assumes is his opponent's arrogance, Kenjaku then asks Gojo, quote, "You don't expect to lose?" Unquote. This prompts Gojo to recall a conversation he had with Itadori Yuji back in Chapter 3, wherein, when asked by his young pupil, quote, "Is Sukuna, in brackets, stronger than you, sensei?" Unquote. He replied, quote, "Good question. If Sukuna were to completely regain his power, it might be a little tough." Unquote. Still coming to terms with the world of jujutsu, and unsure Yuji further questions his teacher. Quote, "Would you lose?" Unquote, to which Gojo confidently and casually responds, quote, "Nah, I'd win." Unquote. In the original Japanese release of the chapter, as seen in raw scans provided by fan translator Sokatsu, um, Gojo meets Kenjaku's near identical question with the same confident answer he had previously given to Yuji. However, in Viz Media's version, Gojo instead offers the more blunt and simple response of quote unquote no. Yeah, that was kind of a more of a simplification of it. I think the original probably did capture more of a kind of an attitude to it that should not have been ignored. Following this discovery, upset fans took to social media to voice their frustrations with Viz Media's mishandling of Gojo's comeback. Yeah, so this time it's not about inserting their own woke beliefs into it. They just simply simplified something that really should not have been simplified. It sounds like, quote unquote, no, that's it. Seriously, unquote, questioned ha- King Jin Woo. Quote, "He's back after 1,000 days. Um, and this is how you gonna make it sound like? Viz, please stop ruining the important moments with your lazy and dull translations." Uh, Man, least they could do is follow up with their original dialogue, unquote, at Babu Noshe noted, referring to how the original Japanese reference Gojo and Yuji's prior conversation, quote, Viz can't do bleep right, unquote. Wow, this one's not really making a lot of people happy, is it? Comparing Viz Media's translation of Gojo's dialogue to those made by fan group TCB Scans, quote, I'll win, unquote, and the official French arm of Shueisha's official Manga Plus service, quote, Je vais ganger, brackets, I will win, at Fan de Luna 6 declared, quote, at least both TCB and Manga Mon French cooked it better than Viz. A shocking turn of events. It seems the series localization team actually listened to fans' feedback. And a few days later, Gojo's dialogue was revised to be more in line with mangaka Gege Akumada's original intention. Yeah, talking about getting pressured, huh? Do it right, you fools! Do it right! As this change was applied to the digital release of the chapter, it remains to be seen which edit Viz Media will use when collecting it in tankobon form. My guess is tankobon basically means, you know, the big volumes, right? Where they basically take a lot of the series and sections and all that. All right, so that's it for the articles tonight. There's a couple others I could have probably gone. I thought these would have taken a little longer, but they got to the half hour mark, or just past the half hour mark. So with that, we'll probably start going over wrestling wrap up here. Unless, of course, you guys have anything else you'd like to ask about or mention. If not, I'll probably just move on to the wrestling wrap up. As I said, there were a number of things that were going on, including the Backlash pay per view from WWE. All right. I'm just getting things prepared here a bit. Let's see. Any other comments? No. All right. So with that, why don't we continue on then with the wrestling wrap up here? So this past Saturday, of course, the WWE had its Backlash pay per view from the Coliseo de Puerto Rico in San Juan, Puerto Rico, in which There were a few special guests. There was some other stuff going on there behind the scenes too that was considered somewhat controversial. With that, let's talk about that. So Bianca Belair retained the Raw Women's title over Io Sky, and also on the card, Rhea Ripley retained the SmackDown Women's title over Zelina Vega. Now, of course, since this was in Puerto Rico, you'd see more of the Puerto Rican talent getting highlighted here. Now, one of the things that I'm kind of wondering too is, so now, since they didn't have since they didn't have them lose the titles, from what I understand, both Bianca Belair and Rhea Ripley are switching brands. Bianca's going to SmackDown, Rhea's going to Raw. Now I wonder if that simply means that now will the Raw, what is currently the Raw Women's title, will that now become the SmackDown Women's title and vice versa? I don't know. That's something I'm kind of curious about. Seeing how they handle that, since you got the two women who are the champions. Which now part of the reason why Bianca, of course, is going over to SmackDown is because WWE has, as everybody knows, they had the draft last week, and they also drafted the tag team of the Street Profits, Angelo Dawkins and Montez Ford. From what I understand, Bianca Belair and Montez Ford are husband and wife, and they basically essentially try to keep married couples together on the same show. I don't know if this policy stemmed from what happened a few years ago, back when Matt Hardy was still in the WWE with Lita and Edge, and that whole they basically turned that whole real life situation into a storyline. So yeah. So also happening on the night, Seth Rollins defeaed Omos, basically needing, I think, three curb stomps and a super curb stomp to defeat Omos. I think the last curb stomp that Seth Rollins delivered to Omos was from the top rope, which finally finished him off. Well, you have to consider it too. He's called the Nigerian Nightmare. The guy is like 7 feet tall, well over 300 pounds. So Seth knew he was in for a fight, nonetheless. Austin Theory retained the United States title in a triple threat match over Bobby Lashley, Bronson Reed, simply more or less by just being smart and picking his moments, letting Lashley and Reed beat the bejeebies out of each other, and then finally taking advantage of the situation to get the pin. So anyways, as we continue on, of course, and if you guys can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people in here, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything we talk about, of course, grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. Bad Bunny defeated Damian Priest in the San Juan Street Fight match they had, which was interesting in that there are a number of different things going on in this match, of course. You did have attempted interference by the Judgment Day and the rest of the LWO, who were, Judgment Day backing up Damian Priest, and the newest incarnation of the LWO led by Rey Mysterio Jr. and such, which also led to a couple other surprise appearances of former WWE superstars Carlito and Savio Vega, who are of course legends in Puerto Rico. As some of you may know, Carlito is the son of Carlos Colon, and Savio Vega, of course, everybody probably remembers his stint in the WWE back in the mid to late 90s. But also, Savio in Puerto Rico would wrestle as TNT and would be a multiple time holder of a number of different titles, including IWA heavyweight, IWA Puerto Rico heavyweight title, and I believe he was at least a couple time Caribbean title holder. But they would also make appearances in Puerto Rico and another thing was that it was reported that in terms of total live gate and attendance, this year's Backlash set records, basically being the most paid for and the most attended Backlash of all the Backlash events. Shattered the records. So, and now a big part of that was Bad Bunny's promotion of it. Now, one of the other things that has garnered some news from the event as well is the producer who was in charge of putting the match together, of booking the match. Brian Kendrick has been brought back on a temporary purpose, I guess a temporary deal. He was the one who booked this match. Now the controversy is Brian Kendrick. Some old tweets came out where some old apparently anti-Semitic tweets had come out. He's since recently kind of apologized for those tweets. He had, tweeted some conspiracy theories and all that. And in fact, it's one of the things that led to him being basically banned from working in AEW. He was going to make it, at the 2022, he was going to, he was actually going to be debuting in AEW until Tony Khan put the kibosh on it because basically the tweet came out, and now he's working. Now, of course, Brian Kendrick's working as a producer again. He also worked as a producer late last year at Survivor Series. So that was another that was another thing that came out of that match. Anyways, continuing on here, of course. In a six-man tag match, the Bloodline of the Uso brothers and Solo Sikoa defeated the undisputed tag team champions Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Matt Riddle, with Solo Sikoa delivering, I believe, a Samoan spike on Matt Riddle. And in the main event, saw Cody Rhodes defeat Brock Lesnar cleanly, reversing a Kimura lock into a bridge-like pinfall attempt to get a clean victory on Brock. Now the talk is that this feud is going to probably continue for a while. Cody Rhodes and Brock are both in the tournament to crown the next World Heavyweight Champion, which the title that is believed going to be the title that will be defended on Raw. As it would appear that Roman Reigns will be a SmackDown exclusive wrestler now. There's been talk that I guess they're going to possibly working a best of 3 match between Brock and Cody, in which Brock will get a win between sometime maybe at the next pay-per-view, and then this feud should culminate with the rubber match at SummerSlam. That's what's been thrown out there as the possibility. So yeah, so basically that's what's all going on the WWE side of things. On the AEW front, Chris Jericho has been quite a bit in the news of late. On a recent edition of his Talk is Jericho podcast, he talked about how he believes that Hulk Hogan is actually the better worker than Ric Flair, um, which caused some controversy in many wrestling circles. Um, you know, his belief was that you kind of know what you get with Hogan, whereas maybe you don't as much with Flair. But and then apparently at an airport recently, Chris Jericho was apparently, as he claims, bullied by some Southwest. I don't know if it's Southwest airline, but an airline. He was en route to a show or whatever, and at an airport he kind of got bullied by airport security and who got in his face and did a number of things, and he apparently said he was assaulted by them. So yeah, as AEW of course continues to build towards Double or Nothing at the end of the month here. On this Wednesday's Dynamite, let me see what's going on here. See what they have thus far planned. I do know that the main event, I believe, for Dynamite this Wednesday will be John Moxley of the Blackpool Combat Club um, taking on Kenny Omega. This week's Dynamite, of course, will be happening at Little Caesars Arena in Michigan. Thus far, the matches signed include a steel cage match between Kenny Omega and John Moxley as the feud between the Elite and the Blackpool Combat Club continues to build. Orange Cassidy defends the international title against Daniel Garcia. The House of Black, with Julia Hart in their corner, will be defending the AEW World Trios title against Bandito and tag team of best friends Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor. In a no-holds-barred match, Anna J.S. and Julia Hart will be competing against one another as Anna J looks to get revenge on Julia Hart from spraying the mist in her eye, as Julia Hart looks to continue to torture Anna J. And in a double Jeopardy match, Claudio Castagnoli, the Ring of Honor World Champion, will be taking on Ray Phoenix, one half of the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champion. Now, I don't know what a double Jeopardy match is, but it's happening. So that's what's happening this Wednesday's Dynamite. I don't know. Let's see. As far as I know, the only match signed for Double or Nothing on Sunday, and we're getting pretty close to it too. We're now just under, I believe, 3 weeks away from it. So they're going to want to be, signing more matches soon here. Double or Nothing happens. Double or Nothing happens on Sunday, May 28th from the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Yeah, the only match still signed for Double or Nothing is the four-way match for the AEW World Title, basically the battle of the four pillars, as it were. MJF, Sammy Guevara, Jack Perry, and Darby Allin. So that's said to be a pretty exciting match going on there. And one more piece of wrestling, even though I didn't hint at this in the didn't really hint at this too much in the tags, but this past weekend on NWA USA, two more teams advanced into the Crockett Cup tournament that will be coming up on June 3rd and 4th. The team of the Spectaculars of Rush Freeman and Brady Pierce defeated Rush's kayfabe brother Rolando Freeman and Eric Jackson, as Rolando believed that he could do better than his brother with another tag partner rather than just being in the corner of the Spectaculars. And also advancing into the tournament is the duo led by Father James Mitchell of Judias and Maxie Impaler, the non-binary Nightmare, as they defeated their former comrades who are now being allowed to use Miserably Faithful name of Sal the Pal and Gags the Gimp. So that's all going on as well. So with that, I think it's a good time to start winding things down a bit here. I think we got through majority of the new stuff. So now let's get ready to take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. History! So 2013, 2018, 2018. And 2009. All right. All right. So without any further ado, let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. So, let's see. All right. And if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, that'd be appreciated. Also, as I said, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions, and I'll try to answer the questions to the best of my ability. So with that, on this date back in 2009, 14 years ago today, the AIC original net animation series Candy Boy would finish its run, releasing its last episode of its seventh and final episode, as I understand it. So on this date back in 2009, which was 14 years ago today, AIC's original net animation series Candy Boy, directed by Takafumi Hoshikawa, aired its last episode on this date in 2009. Getting ready to move on to the next piece in each history. As on this on this date 10 years ago today, back in 2013, let me find it. The 25th issue of Mega Man from Archie Comics went on sale on this date back in 2013, 10 years ago today. I think it was part of their Worlds Collide storyline. Sold for $2.99 with 32 pages. So on this date back in 2013, 10 years ago today, 25th issue of Mega Man from Archie Comics went on sale on this date 10 years ago today. Also on this date 5 years ago today, we have a couple of interesting things. First off, on this date 5 years ago today, back in 2018, Nick Big Bully Busick passed away at the age of 63 on this date back in, there's his picture, of course. Most of you will probably remember him from his brief stint in the WWE or WWF at the time. He also, of course, spent some time in Global Wrestling Federation back in the early 90s in 1991. So on this date, back in 5 years ago today, Nick Big Bully Busick would pass away at the age of 63. So there we go with that one. And 2018 is just so nice that we're gonna hit it twice. As also on this date in 2018, which again 5 years ago today, Legacy Classics Family Entertainment. The Boxcar Children's Surprise Island was released in theaters on this date back in 2018. It was a computer animated adventure film, and among the voice talent that lent their voices to it included of course J.K. Simmons and Martin Sheen. So on this date 5 years ago as well, Legacy Classics Family Entertainment, a Boxcar Children Surprise Island was released in theaters on this date back in 2018. So with that, I thank everybody for being here tonight. I hope you all enjoyed the show. I hope you guys got a lot out of the content. We'll be back here, of course, tomorrow with more Niche News. Also, don't forget, this Friday, of course, we'll be doing our weekly look back at comics history, as we will be going over books that went on sale in October of 1939. This week we'll be focusing in on Centaur Comics. My co-host this week will be The Metal from the Vomitorium. Among the features we'll be going over will include Amazing Man, Dean Denton's Science Detective, Speed Centaur, The Arrow, and we'll also be looking at the last issue of Comic Pages as well, just to wrap things up at the end of the show. So with that, I thank you guys for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here tomorrow. Bye.